Salutations, love, peace, and hair grease. Now let's talk some jazz. We're off to another great start. At the mention of Lashana Lynch and Eddie Redmayne in Peacock's The Day of the Jackal, I assumed it was good without watching one episode. So far, in episode 1, I think my assumption has been correct. The opening scene, which was an added bonus to hear Celeste sing the intro's theme song, Go Look Her Up, She's an Amazing Artist. The episode begins with the main character practicing a German spiel. We then see he is in disguise as he takes something of value from the dead body of the person he is impersonating. Think Mission Impossible when Cruise reinvents himself as a bad guy. I assumed it was the dead person's work ID. The impersonator gives us an action-packed performance filled with clean pow-pow shots. I have to say pow-pow on here. You catch the drift. A clever escape and what seems to be the end, but it's only the beginning. Lashana Lynch's character, Agent Bianca Pullman, gives me the feel of a double agent, and I suspect her cover is being a mother and married woman whose family is in the dark of her real identity. She is far removed from motherhood, it appears, and attracted to the needs, or rather the climb of her career, disappointing her husband and daughter who are starving for her attention and attendance in their home life. Bianca comes across as knowledgeable of guns and their makers and oversteps at work to prove herself. Her forwardness and expertise about artillery and knowledge about the distance of the rifle being used to commit the untraceable murder of a high-ranking foreign victim gets her appointed on the team to catch the killer, which she gladly accepts. To further impress her bosses, she names possible suspects, brothers Larry and Norman Stokes, as the killer. The hours and attention required to work on the case will serve as the perfect excuse not to attend her daughter's school event, causing more strife at home. For her first assignment, Agent Pullman takes a last-minute trip to Belfast to question a family member of whom she suspects could create such weaponry. She meets with her former informant, Allison, the Jackal's sister-in-law, who goes by the moniker Sparrow. For information on his whereabouts, certain Norman is the gunmaker. Sparrow fears her husband, Larry, who is the Jackal's brother, will kill her if he finds out she is in cahoots and has spoken to law enforcement. Agent Pullman is dirty in my opinion. She lies to get her asset to cooperate, arrests her daughter as collateral to get the information she seeks, while the Jackal travels throughout Europe fleeing his crimes. Here's my first not-so-great critique regarding The Day of the Jackal. The Jackal handles his transactions via the dark web. He messages his clients on a network called the Dark Core. I was just questioning what elite assassin would answer a blind message in his line of work. That was sort of a red flag to me, and that was my question as the scene played out. But it does drive the plot when the Jackal accepts this random meeting request for a job. The mystery client offers him $1 million, and he accepts it, which normally goes against the rules he has set in place to protect his identity. Again, that was just a red flag for me. My gut tells me that is going to be a mistake. Hope I'm wrong as the season progresses. As we come to an end of episode 1, we also learn that the remaining money he is owed for completing the job in Munich has not been transferred into his account, and the client flips him off. While the Jackal is getting screwed financially, Bianca is busy screwing her informant with her daughter's arrest, where her actions quickly come to bite her in the ass as she dies in police custody from heart failure, leading us into an exciting episode 2. The setting is Cadiz, Spain. We see the immaculate home of the Jackal. He wanders his vast property and wrestles with the disrespect of his client, and Bianca deals with her bosses getting in her ass for Sparrow's daughter's arrest and death. Yet, Agent Pullman still convinces them she can find the murderer they are looking for. She continues to lie to the Sparrow, neglecting to tell her that her daughter has died to get the information she wants. That is the detached from motherhood behavior I was talking about from the first episode. But let's continue. The Jackal searches online for information regarding the client who stiffed him. His wife interrupts him with the "it's time for you to pay me some attention" aura, strokes his ego, entices him, and gets what she wants. We learn more about his next murder victim and get a visual of who wants the mogul dead and why. Financial equality for all. In the meantime, the Jackal and his wife throw their son a birthday party, and he has to remind his in-laws to not post this party online. Do not place him in any photographs. Do not share their locations. They don't like the rules, but they like his money. His brother-in-law presents him with a bar proposal, but he's not happy when the Jackal gets a phone call and their discussion is interrupted. The Jackal escapes an attempt at leeching money from him, takes a phone call from the bank with intel on where the initial payment originated for the job he completed in Munich and the client who has stiffed him on the pay. When he sees that the client who is refusing to pay him is still in Munich, he bails on his child's party. His wife is livid about him leaving and insists that she drive him to the airport. He insists that he can take a cab, but she drives him anyway. She wants him to tell her he loves her in Spanish. He asks her not to embarrass him. She settles to hear him say, "I love you" in English. I snickered once he got out of the car, and I am choosing not to spoil the scene. We'll revisit it once you've watched episodes 1 and 2. Now let's catch up with Agent Pullman. Bianca researches the day of the corporate office killing to get to know the suspect better. She pays close attention to his motor skills, his eye-hand coordination, the way he uses his hands when firing his weapon, the gear he used for traveling, and possible spoken languages. The footage that she receives gives her the inclination that he could possibly be a mimic. Next, we catch up with the Sparrow. She is worried about her daughter being in jail in London and begs her husband Larry, the Jackal's brother, to call him for money so that they can go and check on her. While her husband gives her the runaround that he has contacted his brother for money, we get the scene of the Jackal's wife. I will admit, at first, she struck me as knowledgeable about what her husband's line of work is. Not in full detail, but enough to know his work comes first. She returns home to the party and blabs about what she saw in town, which is a spoiler I am choosing not to discuss until you guys have watched episode 1 and 2, and we can reconvene in episode 3. I feel like if I share that spoiler, it's just going to give away too much. I have to admit, the scene did surprise me, and I thought she was smarter than that, but I was wrong. Let's see if you are too. The Jackal makes it to Germany and negotiates a second meeting with his new client to set the terms for his next big kill. While Bianca reports the killer is former British military, her information is not enough to her bosses, and they're telling her that she is running out of time to get the information that she needs to continue to work on this case. Bianca still continues to keep the Sparrow in the dark about her daughter being deceased. It doesn't help her that her daughter expects her to be home by 8 for a family dinner that she is not interested in attending, but she makes it surprisingly. I was not expecting her to do that, but not for long. She dips out on them as soon as Sparrow calls her with a picture of the latest contacts in her husband's phone, which could possibly be a number to reach the Jackal. The last known location of his phone number is Belarus. Bianca heads to Belarus to catch him with the assistance of hired covert operatives, but the Jackal is back in Munich in heavy disguise to visit the bank for more information about the client who owes him his money, making the operation in Belarus a bust, literally. The Jackal meets with the new client, gives him a deadline, but declines the $100 million price tag to complete the job. They settle on a $20 million deposit, but if you ask me, something feels off. The Jackal leaves this meeting, heads to the bank, and collects more information about the deposit. And when he finds out that the deposit was made from the son of the man he assassinated in Munich in episode 1, her fest, which leads us into another exciting episode, episode 3 of The Day of the Jackal. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Unlike Me.